All right, so let's cut straight to the chase here because today's topic is a very, very interesting one, and I don't want to waste any of your time. So, no intro. Now, I want to begin today's talk off by this one statement here. It's no secret that CEOs and founders, at least the successful ones, because on Instagram, anyone can call themselves a CEO and a founder, so there should be a threshold there. So, at least the successful ones have a seemingly different way of thinking than most people. I mean, it makes sense, right? Why would someone who's a high achiever, who's, let's just put an arbitrary number on it, making half a mil a month, be thinking the same way as someone who has failed to crack their first 10K month? It doesn't make sense, right? There should be some worldview, some methods of thinking that are completely different from the million a month entrepreneur, as opposed to the one who's just beginning their journey and have yet to hit 10,000, right? But you see, many people focus on the wrong things. They assume that this person, this $1 million a month person, is focused on the one little hack, the one little thing they can change, the minutia, the details. But really, that's not really how it goes. And I'm sure you've been a part of it, or have seen it, or have been like myself, have fallen victim to it. What's the best CEO morning routine? What's the best diet? What's the best training protocol? We try and hyper focus on each of these one little iterations of the bigger thing that life is. And it doesn't really get us anywhere. And again, these questions are the exact problem with most people's thinking. So what is really the difference between 99% of people's thinking and then the CEOs? Because it might not still be very, very clear. So let's get into it. You see, 99% of people's thinking is components-based thinking, while CEOs and high performers think in systems. Now, this might not make too much sense, so let's get into it. What do I mean by this? Well, first, I think it would be worth actually defining what a system is, right? There's countless systems around us. We just got to look around in the world. For example, we have the solar system. We have nature. Mother Nature is a system, right? So let's take the solar system for an example. It's about these planets circling around the sun, and at the same time, they also influence one another's gravitational forces. So then we start getting into things like moons and little satellites and whatnot. So, and then the sun also gives off radiation and heat. Which means that, we can actually incorporate and harness the power of the sun to support life on Earth. Or on different planets, the sun might heat up one side and then keep the other side cool. So there's more systems at play there. We can see stars in the starry night. That light is reaching to us. That's information that's entering the system and giving us data. And then we can use that to study things that are way, way further away than us as well. So you can see the beauty of the system at play at a very large scale. Let's look at Mother Nature. I think it ties in pretty beautifully. If the sunlight's coming down here and giving life to all these trees and plants, these plants are harnessing that energy and incorporating it into that system, and then making chemical energy through it for us to eat. And then animals eat it, and then we eat the animals, and then the animals serve other animals, and they sort of have to watch out for predators on their own. So it's a very tight-knit and intricate system, but everything is interconnected. And that's sort of the way that we need to start thinking too, right? What's special about these is that each and every component that we talked about, the planets, the sun, the earth, trees, the sunlight, animals, humans, each and every component is interconnected at some level. You can break it down whatever way you want. There will always be some connection. All right. So we already explored the examples above. Now, I want to get into the fact that running a business at the end of the day is also a system, right? Nature really is the only system that stood the test of time. So we can also appreciate its perfection. Nothing that stood the test of time for this long, at least, would be anything short of perfection. If it was an imperfect system, we wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be here watching this video. I wouldn't be here filming this. We would just cease to exist. But because of that, we can assume that there's some degree of perfection and art to these two systems that are in place. So if things are that interconnected in nature, where space is connected to our environment, and then the planets and the light and animals, if it's that interconnected in nature, and we came to sort of the realization that that's a system that's near perfection, shouldn't we treat business in the same way? By this point, most people would agree, but their actions are not indicative of that. Again, remember at the start of the video, we always look towards the best CEO morning routines. We always look towards the best diets, the best workout regimens, the best biohacking potions that we can take to shred fat or slap on pounds and pounds of muscle, right? But at the end of the day, that's components-based thinking. We're not necessarily seeing how these effects can take place at a larger scale. We're just saying, hey, if I drink chamomile tea, my sleep is going to get better, not thinking about any of the other effects that might have. So let me explain through an example. I'll use lawyers just because we at Golden and Glorious, we serve personal injury and family lawyers, so it's a little bit easier for me. Shameless plug real quick, if you are a family or personal injury lawyer and you're looking to close 20 plus cases in 30 days in no time, hit the first link in the description and you can book a call with us today, and we can get into seeing how we can do that for you. So let's say that you're running ads as a lawyer for your lead generation strategy, and you end up having a pretty high cost per lead. Now, there's two ways that you can interpret this. Let's illustrate how. So first, I want to go over the example of how, say, a low-level thinker would sort of interpret this situation. So let's make this circle a little bit smaller. So we start off with our high CPL, right? Okay. High CPL, we run into a problem. It's not fun. So what do we need to do about it? What comes to mind at first for you, right? It comes to me first as well. So there's no shame in admitting this, but all of our minds run to, hey, how can we take this and then reduce our CPL, right? Seems pretty simple. Seems pretty almost logical, I would say. If someone wouldn't want to do this, I'd be sort of concerned as to, why? Wouldn't this be the clear solution to it? But again, this is components-based thinking. Let's look at the downstream effects of reducing the cost per lead, all right? Let's say we bring her down to from, say, $300 down to $100 per lead. Well, you just brought that cost down up front, which on the ads manager is going to look great. Your cost per lead is down, your campaigns are running way more efficiently. But you know what that also means? There's a consequence that comes with it. It's not all just good. Lower lead quality. Okay. Lower lead quality. Now, what does lower lead quality mean? Like, hey, we're still getting crazy leads through the door. This is what some agency might promise you, really cheap leads. But turns out the leads are of lower quality, but you're like, hey, whatever, the leads are still cheap. No big deal. What a lower lead quality means is that the people who are showing up on calls, they're showing up at a much less frequent rate. So your show up rate is down. And then what happens after that? You know what that means? That means that you got to take more consults to close a client. And what does that mean? If you're taking more consults, that means that those same ads are running in the background while you're taking more consults to try and close a client. And in the end, that means a higher cost per closed case. which at the end of the day is the only metric that truly matters, right? We can look at all these vanity metrics for all we want. A cheaper cost per lead on an ads manager might look sexy, it might look cool, it might be something you can show off to your friends. But at the end of the day, if you have a higher CPCC, what does it matter for? What if we just had the original $300 a lead, but these leads were of higher qualities and the show up rates, they were there, which means you had to take less consult, which meant that you had a lower CPCC, right? So do you see how one little portion and one little problem and one little obstacle, how we can quickly find ourselves jumping into components-based thinking? It's a very, very dangerous trap. I still fall to it to this day. I'm sure many entrepreneurs also do, but the big dogs, they make sure they catch themselves ASAP. So I hope this video sort of outlined the importance of systems-based thinking. I think this example was a pretty awesome one, as I do know a lot of folks now especially are utilizing and leveraging the power of online advertising. And I think this example really did speak to me, and I hope at least it spoke to you as well. So systems-based thinking is pretty much where you stop looking at things with one focal point and instead see how tweaks and little changes can actually affect an entire system. And you might find that, hey, something that might be upfront good isn't really the best for the entire system. So again, if you're a personal injury or a family lawyer looking to land 20 plus cases in 30 days, we've sort of done all the thinking for you. You don't need to worry about systems-based thinking because we've thought of every nook and cranny and we've perfected the entire process from start to finish for you. So if you're interested in that, hit the first link in the description and we can have a chat about it. But that's all for me today. Have a blessed day.